Hello again. So just to put this out there, these don't really intermingle with my top 10 animated movies, meaning this doesn't make it a top 20 list. It's more of a 10.5, 9.5 sort of thing. See, since I see animated and non-animated movies on completely different planes. Now, none of these have any order, not even number one, since I like each one for different reasons. Anyway, to kick this off, we have No Night is Too Long. So for about 4 years, I searched high and low for the book written by Ruth Rendell when I was in high school. I lived in a really small town and I wasn't able to order things online back then, so I was really limited to the local bookstore or thrift stores or hunting in cities whenever we'd go to Vancouver or Seattle. But after 4 years of unsuccessful searching, and on the very last day of high school, and I was moving away in less than a week, and they were tearing down the school within the next month, so they were cleaning out the library storage, and sitting right on top of the free table was the book. I legitimately lost my shit. It was quite the sight. And I had already known about the movie, and I watched it several times. It was on YouTube. But now that I had the book, I wasn't going to be happy not having the movie. It took a couple years, but I managed to successfully import a Region 1 DVD, and just because of the history behind this, I had to put it on the list. There are some qualms I have with the movie. I mean, it is quite tropey, especially considering gay fiction, and it is quite different from the book. But hey, it's all about the journey. So at number 9, we have Mamma Mia. Growing up, my mom had loved ABBA. She had all the records, CDs. It was one of those things I grew up not wanting to like because it seemed embarrassing to like what your mom liked. But as many people know, I was one of those theater and band kids, so it was undeniable that I really did like ABBA to my core. I actually saw Mamma Mia live at the farewell tour a year or two ago, and it was amazing. It was one of those questionably good movies that's probably not actually very good, but I'll fight to the death anyone that says that to my face. So at number 8, we have Labyrinth. And I didn't think I'd like this movie, and for a while I internally hated liking it because it's my ex-girlfriend's favorite movie of all time, and she's the one who introduced me to it. But I can't deny it. I really do like this movie. I love Jim Henson, and it's just a fun, energetic romp in a puppet land that I really adore. And come on, David Bowie, guys, come on. Number 7 is Repo, the Genetic Opera. My two favorite genres are musicals and horror, and this is a wonderful amalgamation of the two. I personally know several people who hate this movie, but I personally can't wrap my head around that since it tells a gruesome story accompanied by some fantastic vocals and songs that just get stuck in your head. To me, it's like a love letter to Rocky Horror Picture Show, and as a fan of the BBC Merlin, I really can't imagine anything better than Uther singing out this romantic rock ballad. So number 6 is a little controversial. It's First Class, the X-Men movie. So my family was really into superheroes and stuff, and to be honest, I can write a really large book listing all the movies that I have seen 45 times, but never all the way through, or I've seen bits and pieces of enough I've probably seen the whole thing. And for a long time, the X-Men series was part of that, until First Class came out. Okay, so to admit, this movie came out when I was in high school, and it was completely during my peak boy love phase. And goddamn, I loved Magneto and Professor X. Like, because of this movie, I dumped a lot of money into the X-Men franchise. And don't be fooled, my awkward shippiness did dissipate, but I enjoyed the comics and books for what they were. But it started because of this beautiful, beautiful movie. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this movie, and understanding this lore now, I can kind of see why, but it's still a huge guilty pleasure for me. Like, oh boy. Number 5 is Return of the Living Dead. An interesting zombie choice, but listen up. I worked in a funeral home for 5 years. I am an ITA certified funeral director, and I refuse to watch any crime dramas. Seriously, ask the people I live with. I have very loudly complained over the years. And yet, this B movie takes place almost entirely in a funeral home, and I find it's the only movie I've ever seen that most accurately depicts what a funeral home actually looks like. You know what, considering it's a B movie, it's not surprising. That's probably where it was legitimately shot. But you got your vestibule, your foyer, office, storage, cosmetic room, attic, chapel. I mean, it's not grungy or dirty. There's open shelves and things are labeled and clean. So what's going on, other funeral home places? So I love Tarman. Okay? He's the best. That's the best horror costume in the history of horror costumes, to be completely honest. It legitimately gave me nightmares as a kid, because I quite frequently confused that Tarman to the Tarman of Scooby-Doo, which for a long time I was scared of Scooby-Doo because of that. But this movie is fantastic and scary and campy, and you gotta watch it, guys. Like, appreciate it for what it is. Number 4 is Rocky Horror Picture Show. So if you've seen my Instagram for my trip to Vegas, I don't think this pick will come as a surprise. My love for this movie is intense, and although it's ridiculous and showy and glitzy, it's off the wall. It's probably the most fun you'll have with a musical. I've been to a couple of the Halloween showings in the city that I live now, and it's just amazing how many people still seem to enjoy it, given online there's never really any talk about it. If you haven't seen it, or you just know it by its name or its cult status, do yourself a favor and watch it. I don't think it's on Netflix, but you can easily find it in Walmart's $5 bin. Number 3 is Dorian Gray. So just to be clear, I'm talking about the 2009 Ben Barnes version. And you know what? I gotta be honest, I don't really enjoy watching this movie so much anymore, as much as I enjoy the significance of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the moral, the cast, the costuming, the effects. It's just a bit long for my attention span to kind of keep up with nowadays. Now, don't let that deter you from watching it. I've had a good time the 12.5 times I've actually watched it, but I introduced it to someone in high school, and they came to me after and told me that it helped them cope with some personal struggles they were having about death and stuff, so I really have to give it some praise there. Number 2 is Gremlins. And I can't even put into words how much I love Gremlins. I only watched it for the first time 2 or so years ago, but it pretty much changed me as a person. I love Gizmo, and I love how it spawned like 10 small movies. Like Critters, Ghoulies, ones that starred small critters. Now, I love the Snow White scene. I love when Gizmo is saying bye to the dog. I love the dramatic Santa in the chimney speech. Honestly, I don't think there's a single part of this movie I don't like. It's so good, guys. I freaking love Gremlins. I can't overstate this enough. Like, go watch it. Number 1 is Rat Race. So to preface, this movie is dumb. It is so dumb. It's beyond watchable at times. But okay, story time. So all 3 of my younger sisters are dancers, so we often went on long trips to competitions, shows, festivals, etc., and it was a family tradition to watch this and Goofy Movie before every single trip. And since we often had trips every weekend, we would watch this weekly. We quoted it as a family. We would recite entire scenes. It was ridiculous and terrible, and even thinking about this movie, it kind of makes me cringe, but it reminds me of my family sitting on the couch, watching this on our 20-inch TV, talking so loud we could hardly hear it, but being able to recite along anyway. It brings back a lot of personal memories for me, so that's kind of why it's on this list. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys, and a big shout out to my patron Jupiter. If you'd like to hear your name at the end of all of my videos, check out my Patreon in the description below. Thank you, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day.